Apple comes out, of course, the biggest company in the world, at least I'm pretty sure, or they're close, definitely top three, somewhere above 2 trillion, if I recall. Huge company, everyone familiar with phones, computers, and now electric vehicles by 2024. Is this just a, hey, we want to capture some of the EV hype, or is this a, hey, this is an easy, or not an easy, but a next step for Apple that makes sense?
That's such a hard call. I mean, Apple has become, from the innovative company that it used to be with the massive premium that it used to have. It is now more of a, I hate to use the word blue chip because it's not a blue chip, but it's more like a blue chip company nowadays.
Yeah.
Will the electric vehicle thing that they're making a big fuss about now work for them? I don't know. I really don't know. I always look at it by asking my friends, what products are you buying nowadays? What do you guys like? And, Apple still has a lot of people that love their products. I mean, so I still see a ton of strength, especially with their after service where they're making a ton of money. And I'm still seeing Apple doing very, very well for the years to come. I don't see them having an issue. And I like the fact that, quite frankly, I like the fact that Apple has somewhat separated themselves onto their own island, different than Facebook, Twitter, Google, and the rest of these guys. I mean, you just watch Zuckerberg and Dorsey, when they were up on the Hill, being questioned by the Senate or Congress. I'm not sure which one it was, but I mean, both those their answers were just unbelievably scary. How they did, they just wouldn't tell the truth. And I don't know. I think that Apple has done a good job at kind of staying away from that stuff. So to answer your question, do I like Apple EV? I just like Apple at the moment. I think that he's done a phenomenal job at running the company and has set it up for good success. So I would continue to be a shareholder in that company, no doubt. Facebook, I'd definitely be short. Twitter, definitely be short. Google, I can't really figure them out at the moment. They're just a massive monopoly, and they'll be broken up for sure at some point soon. So that's kind of where I sit on all this social stuff. My favorite, as you know, one of my favorites I love to talk about is Tesla. Tesla.
So gets into the S&P as you predict, and then dumps a little bit, to be honest. Surprised to a lot of people. The guy, and just as a funny little add a little bit of flavor, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with the movie The Big Short. That guy actually announced that he was shorting Tesla about a week ago, at the time of this recording, call it December 15th, let's say, just to put a timeline on it. And then sure enough, they hit the S&P and they go down a little bit. What's your take?
Again, my take on Tesla remains the same, which is, he did get into the S&P, like you said. We did say that would happen. It has happened. He continues to deliver and do a good job at delivering. I love the guy's attitude, even though he may be a little off the wall. But I'll pay a premium for that guy's attitude, and I would continue to hold the stock. I think that besides just electric vehicles, I think Tesla is sitting on so much incredible IP. I see them as being the clear leader in the field. And granted, their shares are, according to historical standards, very, very lofty. But so be it. Somebody has to be. Amazon was lofty forever. Other companies have been lofty as well. So I give him the benefit of the doubt, and the lofty premium. I'd still be a shareholder in Tesla, and I continue to like his vision. There will always be ups and downs with Tesla, 10-20% up and down, corrections, opportunities, but I still like the guy a lot, and I think he's an absolute genius, brilliant.
Hey, I mean, you got to look at it. It's something crazy. I think they're up like, it's something insane, almost like 600% this year, call it, give or
They
take.
are.
It's something
Yeah.
incredible like that. A 10% pullback, are you that mad about it over a course of a year, the long term? I don't think so. You have a lot of these bigger now financial guys, that even people that said, hey, short this back when it was $40,
Yeah.
pre-split, to now saying, hey, Tesla should probably be a part of everyone's portfolio. So a lot of people coming around, and it's very true. You definitely have the future of electric vehicles, the infrastructure, all that stuff that people believe is happening, pushing this company. And I agree with you. I think it's a good hold long term. Interesting. Talk to me, gold. This is something that at one point, extremely hot earlier in the year, hits 2K. Now kind of sitting around 1900, went all the way down to almost 18, back up now 1900. Something, people are saying, did the resource run happen, or is it yet to happen? What's your take, and giving you insight? Again, so you've got again a good pull of people saying gold's already moved, now it's splitting with Bitcoin, and you've got other people saying, I don't think it's happened yet. You got another big stimulus coming. They're propping up this economy. Gold's going to see a run. Copper's already seeing a huge run based off a lot of what people expect is the EV future. But what's your take on gold and some of the precious metals?
So I see gold continuing to move upward, not in a not in a big way, but I continue to see it going up. Probably 2021, I can probably see a good, let's say 2,500 price on it, somewhere around there. And really the reason I see that is because of Biden and what I see as being his policies throughout 2021 going forward. I think they will be, from the economic standpoint, reckless. And I think people will say, oh my God, I better put my money somewhere. And they'll as they do, they'll flock to gold, and the younger generation will continue to flock into Bitcoin. Bitcoin has had an amazing move here, and regardless, whether people say there's a value or no value behind Bitcoin, I mean, it has had a crazy move.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I would,
all-time highs almost touched
yeah,
25,000. Now we can eventually say, if you bought Bitcoin at any point in 2017 and held it until today, you made money.
yeah,
So there
yeah.
you
I
go.
mean, I personally, like I've said before in previous videos, I have traded Bitcoin. I have fun with it on occasion. I trade Ether more, and it's only for fun. It is not because I see a value behind it. It is because I see either a supply or demand issue. And if I see that, usually, being a contrarian investor, when I see something being pummeled, I'll buy it. If I see something that's getting way too frothy, I'll be a seller. And in the gold sector at the moment, I think gold has formed a really nice base in this 1900 range. And when you form a nice base, it gives you the opportunity to move up as new investors suck out those that do want to sell. And when the selling stops, it's usually when either the equity or the resource gold, whatever, moves up. So, I mean, speaking of froth, I mean, look at the psychedelic sector recently. There's been a lot of froth in that sector.
Yeah.
Even though we are in the psychedelic sector, fortunately, our company, isn't involved in the froth. We do not, and I've made it very clear, we don't participate or get out there and do any of the hardcore promotion and all the fake advertising, magazine articles in Forbes every day that we see and stuff like that. We just don't do that. We focus on our science. That's what we do, and we do it well. And eventually, that will reflect in our stock price, and we're happy with that. But I see the froth recently in some of the other mushroom deals that have gone from some from $2-3 up to much higher levels, and then right back down again, and then some of the more junior ones, some of these things with ridiculous market caps, ridiculous. They don't even touch psilocybin, right? They don't have the permits to do it. We do. We've been doing it for 3 years. That's what we do. These guys don't conduct any research in the space whatsoever. I've always said that because you read a book or watch a movie about magic mushrooms, it doesn't mean you're in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's been a frothy sector. I see it's been hit in the last couple of days, uh, which technically is a good thing for some of these stocks.
Healthy,
So,
yeah.
yeah, it's healthy. So that's on that whole sector. In the cannabis sector, as we predicted much earlier in the year, you had asked me, what do you see? And I said at some point later in the year is when you'd want to reload on some of the good quality stocks. Well, that's turned out to be a great idea.
Yeah.
And cannabis stocks have now quietly risen, which is what I wanted. I wanted the hype and the fluff and the BS to get out of the industry. It has. Many of the operators and players and the stoners that were in the industry are now out of it, thank God. Unfortunately, some of those people have now moved into the mushroom space, but at some point they'll get out of that as well. And so the cannabis industry is doing well and will continue to do really well. So those that can operate a good business and have the right business model, those are the guys that will succeed. And that's the way it should be in any industry. It doesn't matter if you're in cannabis or what industry you're in. So I'm happy to see that a lot of that froth that was in the cannabis industry in the last couple of years, it's disappeared. It's gone. A lot of the companies are bankrupt, as they should be.
Yeah. No, I agree. Talk to me a hot topic, stocks, of course, and psychedelics. Talk to me opinions on MindMed. I mean, this is a hefty chatted about stock.
Right.
Typically, if you're coming from Stock Twits or anywhere else, this thing rocks on there. Hundreds of thousands of people talk about them. A month. Give me your quick insight here. They announced a $80 million bought deal. Do you want to kind of hop into that? Just quick insight. What do you like
Listen,
MindMed?
um, I, I definitely have, you know, um, a strong opinion of the industry. I mean, we've been at it. I think again, I keep on saying it. I think we were the first company to announce we were actually in the psychedelic space as a publicly traded company. And nobody really knows about us yet because here we are in Africa. And that's cool. I am so fine with that. I am so fine that we don't participate in all the crazy promotion and webinars with a bunch of people that aren't qualified to talk about mushrooms or psychedelics and are not really involved in the science. And I'm fine with that. I'm really fine with that. But what it has created with some companies, and I don't want to, pick on MindMed or whatever other companies, but listen, my hat tip and credit to MindMed for having raised an absolute shit ton of money. I'm not
Yeah.
quite sure how they're going to deploy it, or how it is that smart money actually says, well, that's interesting. Here's 80 million bucks for you to do what? I mean, I'd love to see that use of proceeds document. But it is what it is. Again, I give them a hat tip when
Well,
the
people were saying, and curious on your eyes here, at what point when you're, a company like MindMed, you have such a run, you're obviously, at one point, you were number one, even above Compass. At one point, do you start looking at, okay, we're very, they're focused on their areas. When do they start looking at the industry as a whole and start looking at potential acquisition targets? That was a hefty topic. I'd love to get your insight, and not just on MindMed, but a lot of companies that see this big run up. I know we're talking psychedelics, so they fit the bill. But at one point, does MindMed start going, okay, let's start picking some certain companies that are doing research, are doing certain stuff, and throwing a couple bucks?
I don't know. I mean, it could be part of their strategy. I don't know. And I wouldn't really comment on what they are thinking at MindMed. I mean,
Hmm.
again, just to be clear, I give them a complete hat tip for having raised a ton of money. It would appear they are doing some interesting science, but I'm not clear. I've said this before. I don't really understand their science and what it is that they're doing, and that's fine. It is what it is. But that goes for many of these companies, so that I'm not really clear on what it is that they're doing. I mean, our next step is clear. We're going into human trials, and we're very clear on that and where we're heading. And we've done all the clinical work with test tube, in vivo animal, and we've done all that work. I have yet to see very many. I've seen a handful of others that have actually done that work. So, you know, that's interesting. But in terms of just the frothiness, like, I don't know, if I was a shareholder, the other day, I think MindMed was up at a new high, $6.50 or something. And then they announced a bought deal at, I can't remember the price, but 450, 480 or something. And now the stock's at 3 and change. I mean, is that really what you want?
Yep.
I mean, do you really want a stock that goes from, you know, $2-3 up to 6.5 and back to 3 into 4 into 2 into 8? And I mean, I don't know. It's, maybe some people do. Maybe some people get a charge out of trading it, but I just don't think that that brings the right attention to the company or to the stock. And you know, there's obviously a whole ton of promotion behind that and other companies.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's a hot topic, tons of volatility up and down. People take money, they do this, they do that. You know, you can, to me, it's obvious to tell when there's promotion running because the stock goes up, and when it stops, the stock goes down. You know, especially during, you know, times like this and holiday season. But, you know, moving on, I think that was a great kind of recap on the psychedelic sector.